Hi class, this week this is discussion 8 for class 12, and our readings were over implementing decisions, and we had readings from the Barr and McClellan text as well as the Dickerson text. So in reference to Jacob's questions that were posed, first question referred to how might I in leadership position or leadership role at VSU trim the budget. And that was more in reference to Barr McClellan's text over ways of how you just strategies of trimming the budget and why you would need to trim the budget. This is very similar to what we're doing for our final case study. And I think my first strategy would be to ask my VPs or my leaders in each division, in each department, to give me their ideas or to propose to me how they would trim the budget in their department. I would like to hear from each of my leadership positions in those areas because, of course, I think they know their department and they're more passionate about certain things in their areas, and I think they have certain areas prioritized to where they feel like some things, even though I just think they could give more of. I just think they know their department, and I think I would go off of what they would submit, see what areas they proposed that they could trim the fat and trim the budget. Basically, what they could live without and what they couldn't live without. Prioritize their areas and their budgets. Look at that. I would look at the revenue coming in to their department. And of course look at their reasons for why they would trim this as opposed to another certain area if it didn't exactly fit the numbers. And then I would trim across the board. I would try to do 1%, 2%, whatever across the board for each department based on their recommendations. Of course with the assumption and the underlying that I could make the executive decision to change if I did not agree with their reasonings. Also, another area would be as far as the programs, prioritizing the program allocations. I think is super, super important to look at the programs, look at what's working in terms of the academic programs, the enrollment numbers in the programs, the resources that it takes, and the program costs to run some programs, because obviously some programs are more expensive than others. For instance, look at something like culinary. Culinary takes, it's a large program cost. I mean, you have to have the industrial ovens, and there's just so many things that go into that, as well as healthcare. I mean, you look at healthcare, the technology that goes into some of these programs, you really have to weigh all that out and look at it's just a balancing act, as it refers to in the book. So I think looking at the program costs, looking at the input and the output, looking at your enrollment, looking at your program cost, looking at the graduates. How many are you credentialing and graduating? Are those graduates finding jobs in your area? Or in a area, are they getting jobs in that area? That's another huge piece. Looking at all those, then I would prioritize my programs based on what programs are delivering and what programs are not, and possibly, go and cut some of those programs or revamp it, if they need a little revamping, but put that money in that allocation to where it will best serve the students and best serve our institution. That is how I would look at trimming the budget at VSU. Question 2, Jacob refers to the Dickerson Chapter 9 text of the 12 factors that's outlined for achieving strategic balance at an institution. He asks what 3 factors have proved to be most challenging for VSU out of these 12. Choose 3. So, as Dickerson states in his text, every institution is unique. Every institution has its own recipe of what they value. You have to take into consideration internal, external, and it goes all into this recipe that constitutes an institution. There's so many different pressures from outside, from inside, it really is a balancing act. But it's possible. As it states in Chapter 9, it is possible. So, I think that's what you have to keep in mind when you're looking at these things. Sometimes it seems unattainable, but it's not. It's attainable. You just got to get your cards lined up right. So, in looking at the 12 areas, I think VSU, now keep in mind I do commute, and I'm not on campus all the time, so I don't get to see, I guess my opinion and what I see is a little bit different than if I were to live on campus, or, I guess what I'm saying is I'm not exposed to some of the areas as much as the visual part of just observation as much as others that may live on campus. But my 3 factors are number 2, or what's outlined as number 2, is balancing purposes. I feel like careers, job placement, that's a large area. Obviously, that's most of the time the main reason. I mean, that is what we are that is our purpose as an institution, is to serve students so they can find employment and be successful, go out and be successful in the world and find employment. So, are we doing that at VSU? Are we helping students find careers? Are we placing them in the career area? Or are they, it seems like a lot of times we are more of a transfer institution, to where VSU has students that come in and then just transfer on. It's more of a stepping stone. So I think number 2 is a challenge for VSU, and balancing our purpose. And what is our purpose? It seems like there's just some confusion of what the purpose and what our mission is at VSU. The second area is highlighted as number 4 in the Dickerson text, Chapter 9, achieving congruence. Again, there seems to be several initiatives at VSU, and they seem to go in different directions, but really don't have any alignment a lot of times. And I guess that by the alignment, I'm referring to the mission. The underlying mission, of course, should be our driving factor in everything we do. It seems they're just not synchronized across the board and across the whole institution. So I think achieving congruence has been a challenge for VSU as well, and it's just not well balanced with the goals and priorities at VSU. The last factor I have highlighted is number 8 out of the 12, and that is respecting tradition and readying for the future. Obviously, this year has proved a tough one for VSU in leadership roles and just the change of guards and the change of hands, and maybe how situations were dealt with, especially in the hindsight of the flag situation and the protest. And you know, that really goes back to respecting the tradition and readying for the future. How it just really, I just feel like that it was, were we respecting tradition in the protest, and how is that readying us for the future? It states what to keep, what to abandon, and what to embrace, or embrace. I don't know that those actions and that particular situation really left us ready to embrace anything in the future. I feel like it left more confusion and more of a distance between students and the traditions of how things were in our history, particularly with veterans, and I just feel like it really widened the gap there. So I don't feel like we've done a great job in that area at VSU. So that would be another challenge. So that is my response to discussion 8. I hope you all have a wonderful day.